Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use and is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107.
I'm sorry. I must not have gotten my portion of the Kool-Aid. So Mr. forwarded me this really interesting thing that he saw on his Twitter feed. I am not on Twitter, but Mr. is, and it was by Vicki Dillard. What's up, Vicki? I actually have an interview that I did with Vicki Dillard here on this channel. Anyway, I didn't really look at the Twitter post because I was so distracted by what the post was by, which was Black women telling Joe Biden he needed a Black female president. And I was horrified upon watching the clip that Black women were on national television pretending like we were going to vote for this man. I had to kind of separate myself from my initial emotions. We are talking about the Joe Biden that loves to have Black children sitting on his lap, learned a lot about roaches from them, and likes to have them rub on his leg hair.
I saw that made me aware when I was in law school, proudly for Holloway, proudly for your dad, first African-American state senator in the state of Delaware. Everything about. And by the way, you know, I sit on the stand and it get hot. I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. They'd look at it. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
That Joe Biden? I mean, what is the Black female vice president for Joe Biden gonna do? Let her baby boy bounce on Joe Biden's lap and rub on his legs? I'm a little confused. But maybe it's just me. Let's take a look at the clip.
Vice President Biden,
you need us. You owe us.
Black women are miracle workers.
We have been saving the Democratic Party since 1965.
2020 is no different.
Your only path to victory is through Black women.
This is sneaky. This is crazy. The Washington Post is proving how simple-minded they think that Black female voters are. They think that we're actually idiots. I'm positive of it. You're gonna start it off with Black women are basically like superwomen. We saved the Democratic Party. I don't know if that's something we should be bragging about, seeing as how they want to see our kids dead, but go ahead, compliment us. Clearly, the only thing you have to do for a Black woman is pay her a compliment, and she will be more than happy to vote for you.
The voters who need to turn out, we know how to mobilize them. Our votes must not be taken for granted.
The following commitments will begin to show Black voters that you are serious about us.
America needs a Black woman vice president.
Candidates like Amy Klobuchar will not energize us. America needs a Black woman Supreme Court Justice.
Remember Anita Hill? We do.
What the frick does Anita Hill have to do with anything? What? Is my intelligence being insulted? First, you tell us that we're basically like superwomen, and we swoop in and we save the Democratic Party each and every time. Then you tell us that we need a Black Supreme Court justice that is female because of Anita Hill? I'm trying to make these connections. It's not that I'm against a Black female vice president. It's that I'm against Joe Biden. It's not that I'm against a Black female Supreme Court justice. It's that I don't know what Anita Hill has to do with it. I mean, was there not a black man on the other side of that coin? Was this not literally the pitting of a black woman and a black man against each other to keep out a black male Supreme Court justice? I'm lost, but let's continue.
America needs more and a comprehensive Black agenda.
The rules are rigged against our communities.
Whether we are talking about a Black person who died of COVID-19 because of the lack of access to health care,
Or Ahmaud Arbery being killed by vigilantes.
Or Breonna Taylor, an EMT killed by police while laying in her bed. We deserve solutions that address systemic racism, economic injustice, and domestic terrorism.
Did they just basically pull out every single black person that's died in the past 6 months and just like throw them in this little opinion piece as some sort of argument? I'm still on the fact that we're talking to Joe Biden. This man doesn't even understand what you're saying. Do you know this man doesn't understand what he is saying? No less what you are saying.
And I tell you what, the men, they're now all men, the guys I work with down here, and they're all guys at the time. They're all good men. Most of them made an awful lot of themselves. And Earl Larkin had a rough time. And some of you knew Earl. I came back as a public defender.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
We're not voting for Joe Biden. Oh my gosh, black community. We're not voting for Joe Biden. I'm going to need one of two things to happen. Either Trump gets back into office because at least he's the devil we know, or we revolt. Revolution. It's got to be one or the other. What is the middle ground here? Joe Biden? This reeks of desperation.
Joe Biden, you enacted drug and crime laws that harmed the black community for generations.
Every major crime bill since 1976, every minor crime bill, has had the name of the Democratic senator from the state of Delaware, Joe Biden, on that bill.
I love that they're including this in the commercial, but they're like, but we're going to vote for you. After you locked up our men and then got acquainted with having our children sit on your lap and rub your leg hair and teach you about roaches, we're still willing to vote for you because that's how bright we are as black women. Who are these women that participated in this commercial? Y'all, they need to be slapped.
You say you know better now. Show us you're serious by doing better.
This country has a problem.
police officers and vigilantes are killing us, and our quality of life must improve.
Joe Biden, this must be addressed.
You must address our oppression, and most importantly, embrace our power to win the White House.
Vice President Biden, your campaign's mission is to restore the soul of America.
There is no restoration without us.
Was that supposed to get the black female vote? Because let's just recap. Joe Biden, who enjoys having black children sit on his lap, likes them rubbing on his leg hair, and learned a lot about roaches from them, and also bragged on signing every crime bill since goodness knows when, that man can still achieve the black female vote after locking up our men and wanting our children bouncing on his lap by giving us a black female vice president? Come again?
We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. Wealthy kids, black kids, Asian kids. No, I really mean it, but think how we think about it.
Poor kids are just as talented, Toulouse, as white kids.
What are we, retards? Does the Washington Post honestly think black women are retarded? Because I think they do. I mean, I understand people's deep hatred for Trump, but do we hate him that much? We hate him enough to vote for a man that wants bouncy black kids on his lap and thinks it was a good thing that he locked up black men? All they had to do was call you Superwoman and point out a bunch of things that happened to black people, and you can just be manipulated? Again, maybe I didn't get my dose of Kool-Aid, but I don't think so. The Washington Post is trash. Joe Biden is trash. And every black woman that participated in that commercial is highly questionable. And I suspect like one or two of them weren't even really black. I also want to say this. Did they pull out every variation of black women they could? They pulled out mixed women. They pulled out women with weave. They pulled out women with face piercings. They pulled out a couple women willing to wear a dashiki. It's like, you think because you try to be varied with your black women that that's going to pull on our heartstrings? I have a headache. Why do we still have black people that are still Democrats? Come, just help me understand. What has the Democratic Party done for you that you're still a Democrat? Yeah, let's just let them keep insulting our intelligence. That's the ticket.